The James Show Podcast.
Remigration is the idea that some of the people that we have allowed to come here need to go back. And some of the people that have gotten legal status, perhaps it needs to be revoked and they need to be turned around and sent back from whence they came. And such is the situation of 2 arrests that were made last week of Afghan nationals who actually have the paperwork and they're here legally, but they ended up getting rolled up in terror plots. One shot 2 of our National Guardsmen in D.C., killing a 20-year-old woman. The other was planning on bombing something in Fort Worth. I don't know the specifics on that, but I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say, generally speaking, there are some cultures and some systems and values and societies that are just incompatible with America, especially in 2025. Look, when you turn on the TV and they show you Afghanistan, doesn't it look like the Old Testament? Like, doesn't it look like the 3 wise men are, if it's not for the burning tire fire in the background, you would think these guys are on their way to go visit baby Jesus. So back to Leighton from Cisco, who has actually been over there and telling you, just because it doesn't mean the same coming from me. I haven't been to Afghanistan. I've just heard a ton of terrible stories. And so Leighton is our first person eyewitness here over what he saw overseas. So please continue, Leighton. Explain to the rest of us, and myself included, I feel half ignorant on this subject, just about how different these people are.
Okay. Correction. I wasn't overseas. We had Afghani and Iraqi military in U.S. Army bases here stateside.
Wait, y'all were getting sexually assaulted in the United States by Afghani military?
Yes.
That makes it worse.
And whether we were active duty, I was Army, whether our commanders or as a civilian instructor after I was out, we were under standing orders. If we worked with them, if we were in certain areas of the base where they were housed, it did not matter if you were a man, woman, or a dog, period. 3 was the minimum number to work with them or around them. Even if they were coming through, if they were scheduled to come through an hour after we were there, 3 was the minimum number. This was what was told to us by Afghani interpreters that were born there, and that were very proficient. We brought them. They were brought over with their military. Women are for children, boys are for fun, and it's essentially the whole environment over there is honor and might makes right.
Okay, this is all very concerning because one of my stories is, I've read books and watched documentaries on it, but something that really stuck with me is I was up at a radio conference in New York City. And this girl that came in that I had seen at a previous conference, we're not like bestest friends, but we're acquaintances. And it was like one of these like social cocktail hours. And she was a little shook. And I was like, what's the matter with you? You in a bad mood? And she's like, no, actually, I took a Uber over here. And my Uber driver is from Pakistan, just next door. And he commented on my clothes. And granted, she looked good and she was kind of stacked. So, she's hot, but that's not illegal or anything. But he looked at her and, his eyes got kind of big. And he told her, well, if we were in my country, I would be allowed to rape you right now. And she's like, why would you tell me that? He's like, well, no, I'm not going to. We're in America, but I'm just saying, you dress like that in my country. In fact, we see it as our duty, to teach you a lesson to be a little more modest. And it's like, excuse me, dude. Like, not only am I anti-hijab here, I'm anti-raping girls for just dressing normal. In fact, how about this? I'm just anti-rape period. But I was blown away, not only, and thank you very much for your insights there, Leighton and Cisco. I was shocked not only that was their culture, but that he felt comfortable telling somebody that. And that's the shocking thing about this clip I found a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, and I've played it a few times because it keeps coming up. These they look like they're from East Africa, but these African immigrants were doing some man-on-the-street interviews with some guy in the UK. And not only do they think like this, they think it's okay to tell people this. And there's a group of 3 of them. Listen to this.
You rape girls?
Some of us, yeah, some of us.
Do you know how many times you've done that? How many times have you raped girls? I did it maybe 2 or 3 times.
I did it once.
I did it 4 times. One of us pretends as if he's a nice guy. He wants to get her number or something. And you would grab her and say, hey, shut up.
Surely she shouts, no?
No, we tell him that.
We make sure that she doesn't.
When you scream, we tell him that. When you scream, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, she will stay still. She will never scream. He grabs the legs, both of the legs. I grab the hands, and then he deals with the clothes, Yeah, and then we go one by one. We call it Jaggro. Yeah, you enjoying it, huh? And we would he beat our hands, high five. What's it? Yeah, we're doing it. Let's do this.
The consequences of what you're doing in terms of how that affects the person that's raped.
Yeah, the consequences, we look at that all the time, because it happens, she might scream, people might wake up.
I'm talking about the emotional effect, the physical effect it has on the girl.
Yeah. Sometimes we know that we might rape her and wake up tomorrow with viruses ourselves. What
about regretting what you've done to the girl?
I also do regret about it, because if she fell pregnant, what will be that baby's father? Who will be that baby's father?
Remember the word of the day, remigration. And they're like, well, you can't just take people and ship them out of the country and strip them of the... Yeah, you can. Well, how are you going to do it? Anybody who says something crazy like that, get the hell out of my country. Get the hell out of my country and stay away from my family, stay away from my daughters, stay away from Miss Parker, stay away from any woman who's in my vicinity here. And I think a lot of Texans feel this way. There's a reason we're so crazy about guns. There's a reason we've stacked up thousands of rounds of ammo in our master bedroom closet. There's a reason why I got enough guns, me and all my friends could just juggle them for funsies on a Saturday. And if we're going to keep importing crazy people like this, then you know what to do. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I highly recommend that we just remigrate them. Let's not have this fight. Let's not have any more rapes. Let's not have any more National Guard people shot. Let's not have any more people trying to bomb Fort Worth. Let's not have any more people sawing off heads of some motel owner in East Dallas. Let's not have them running over our girls on a jet ski on Memorial Day weekend. Let's not have them raping Jocelyn Nungery and Lake and Riley. Let's not have them burning the lady alive on the Brooklyn train. How about we just get these evil people out of here? Is that really such a controversial stance? All right, it's Christmas time, y'all. And so since the Thanksgiving weekend's over, we're now ramping up the Christmas cheer, and it's time for the Cumulus Kids Toy Drive. There's a bunch of kids in Dallas who are counting on you so they won't be forgotten over Christmas. Look, you didn't go through a Christmas as a little kid and get 0 presents. Make sure no other kid has to go through that. So you can donate a present, go to Sam Pack location and drop off an unwrapped Christmas present, or monetary donations are extremely helpful. Go to WBAP.com, or if you want to do it over your phone, text KIDS, KIDS, to 800-288-9227. My next guest is Logan Washburn from the Dallas Express, and he's coming on because they've done some good work over there. Talking a little bit more about the Afghan man who was arrested for threatening to bomb Fort Worth. He got a little bit of mention in the national news and then kind of already starting to disappear. But let's learn a little bit more about this guy. Logan, welcome back to the James Show.
Hi, James. Thanks so much for having me on.
And first, let me polish your apple a little bit by saying this week, Dallas Express has a White House press pass. So there's a guy from the Dallas Express who's in the press pool at the White House. That's a big step for y'all. So congratulations there, Logan.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. So what do we know about this guy that was talking about blowing up Fort Worth? It seems really weird that he's, backward and primitive enough that I'm going to be a terrorist that blows stuff up, but then modern and innovative enough to bust himself on TikTok?
That's correct. So he is an Afghan national. He came into the U.S. recently, just a couple years ago, under former President Joe Biden's administration. It was Operation Allies Welcome, the same operation that led to the other Afghan coming in who we heard about shooting those National Guard soldiers in D.C. And this individual's arrest, who was planning to bomb Fort Worth, was within a day of that other attack, though it's unclear if they're related.
Now, do we know what he was planning on bombing in Fort Worth? Because all I've heard is a building in Fort Worth.
Yeah, they've been very tight-lipped about this. I've been trying to get answers kind of all day, reaching out to people, and no one will really give more information. But it's very clear they saw this as a real threat, and they're asking people to report any suspicious activity.
Do we know his timetable? Was he going to do it this week, next week, a month from now?
That's also unclear. I mean, we're trying to chase it down, but when everyone's on the same page and doesn't want to put anything out, it kind of makes it hard.
I also saw reported on DallasExpress.com his booking information. Mohammed Alakoze, his race is listed as white. He doesn't look especially white to me. I don't think Hitler would be a fan of this guy.
I think you'd be correct. A lot of this issue comes down to the distinction between race and ethnicity, and people can kind of nitpick over that. But really, it comes down to the fact that this guy, obviously, like you said, is not white, and it's the categorization system we've had for decades in place that doesn't have a category for individuals from North Africa or the Middle East. And so they end up being grouped into the white racial category when they're booked, just because there are limited options. And so that's what's happened here. And there have been a lot of other instances in the past where it doesn't make much sense, but individuals like this are listed as white.
Well, you guys quoted the Tarrant County GOP chairman, Tim Davis, and he was saying, why can't the government just be honest about this? We'll never solve the problem if we first can't be honest with each other about where it's coming from. And I think a lot of us feel that way. It's like we're not going to get anywhere if we can't get this first step correct.
Absolutely. I would agree with that. I mean, the federal government, in their own reporting standards, have recently started taking steps to actually update this and create a category for Middle Eastern individuals. Again, it's nothing to do with the importance of one's race, aside from the fact that you kind of need to know what's happening in terms of crime, right?
Well, yeah, because if you diagnose it wrong, it's like, what are we going to do? Well, we certainly need to crack down on those white people.
Right, exactly. And we don't even have a baseline as it is.
Right. So, what are you going to do? Go to the nearest Kenny Chesney concert and keep an eye on people? That would be a waste of resources. All right. Well, I wish we knew the timetable for the guy, and I wish we knew his intended target, but pass on along whenever we find out. All right, Logan?
Absolutely. We'll keep working on it.
All right. This is the great Logan Washburn from the Dallas Express. You can find his work, DallasExpress.com. Your thoughts about remigration, about getting some of these people out of here, about pausing immigration. Some people think all immigration should be paused. I don't care where you come from, if it's a terrible country or not. We need to give us at least a year or two breathing room to digest and figure out what the heck's already here. I have a hard time arguing against that. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we'll go in the Wayback Machine, and you'll hear Jen Psaki, Joe Biden spokesman, tell you in 2021, hey, all these Afghans coming here, they're totally vetted. So if you don't know what that means, it means he's going to pause immigration from these few countries. Okay, well, I don't know. How are you going to vet them? I mean, what does that even mean? Okay, how about the ones that are trying to kill us? We get them out of here. How about the ones that chant death to America? We can get them out of here. How about the ones where we can't find any information on them because the country from whence they came is not the most proficient at database administration? They've got to get out of here. I think we've passed the, better safe than sorry threshold where just get out. Just if we can't prove that you're a good guy, we're just going to assume the worst. And look, that's okay. That may not be what's best for the people of Afghanistan. That may not be what's best for these asylum seekers. But that's clearly what's best for who? You, me, the American people. Question is why are we even taking in refugees we can't vet to begin with? Here was Trump.
What do the Somalians have to do with this Afghan guy who shot the national?
Nothing, but Somalians have caused a lot of trouble. They're ripping us off for a lot of money. There's a tremendous amount of money going back to Somalia. What the hell are we paying money to Somalia for? But they're ripping off our country at a level that few people have been able to see before. Mm-hmm. That's about the only thing. You talk about competence. We have Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country and our Constitution. And she comes from a country with practically no country. It's devastated. It's crime-ridden. It's a mess. It's a disgrace. And we took their people at a tremendous... We're not taking their people anymore. We're not taking their people. And we're getting a lot of their people out because they're nothing but trouble.
Thank you. Thank you. Name an accomplishment of anyone who's come here from Somalia. Name an accomplishment of anyone who's come here from Afghanistan. And that's not to denigrate every single person from those countries, but you realize when you, even if you're vetting someone from Afghanistan, you are asking the Taliban if they're okay. Can you trust the Taliban? If you do, you need to just keep listening to this show. You got a lot to learn. But one of the big focuses was a soundbite from Donald Trump where he called a reporter stupid. Nancy Cordes, she does ask a dumb question here. And I wish he was a little more cordial and a little less abrasive, but he's not wrong. This is a dumb question.
Something happens soon.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration
because
for
they
what
let
this
them
man
in.
did?
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess.
Now, a lot of people are focused on the fact that he called her stupid person. It's a stupid question, but he's not wrong. How can you not question the vetting process when on consecutive days, people who flew maybe even on the same plane, at least in the same month, came here and got asylum at the same time, from the same operation, from the same program, under the same administration? And you think, oh, well, no, they said they vetted them. Well, apparently there's either a flaw with the vetting process or they're lying. Jen Psaki told you, look, we got to go back in history now. I just want you to remember. I just want you to hear this with your own ears. We're going in the Wayback Machine. This is Jen Psaki, Joe Biden's spokesperson in 2021, when all the Afghanis were flying over here saying, dude, they're totally vetted. Don't you worry.
You've talked about this a little bit, others have as well, but there are, of course, concerns among lawmakers, experts who've tracked this. They're saying previous arrivals of large numbers of refugees from different parts of the world, inevitably there may be a small handful who are eventually deemed a security risk of some kind. What reassurances can you make about the screening process and the attempts to make sure that somebody like that doesn't make his or her way here?
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process. And there are many individuals, as you noted, who have not been through that process, and they have gone to lily pad countries as that process has been completed. It doesn't mean that that's because there's a flag. It means they have not completed their paperwork, and we were working to save tens of thousands of people, hence we evacuated them to these third countries.
So they import terrorists, they don't vet them, they move them in next door to you, and then they lie to your face about it, and then they continue to lie to your face about it, even after they shot a couple of your neighbors and were attempting to blow up Fort Worth. Great group of people you got there. Joe in Grapevine, you're on WBAP.
Honor and privilege, James. You want to give you kudos. I mean, you've done this before in other subject matters. You just ran down what the Blue has been doing, the transgender to Elon to the terrorist attack on our schools and children. You're outstanding when it comes to that, as well as other subjects you brought up. And something, James, I believe strongly, we know what these 6 senators were doing. And just the Democrats, when we did anything similar to that, they would call it a dog whistle. This was a little bit more than a dog whistle. This gentleman worked with a unit that was, if you've researched it, was doing something above or below government knowledge a lot of times. They were a special unit, and it wouldn't surprise me, and they should investigate anybody that could have talked to this, either being former. As we know, we're still trying to weed out the bad apples in every department, and they've been trying to do that. They know they're there. How do we know that someone didn't talk to him, even if he was in an emotional state, and not necessarily gave him marching orders, but encouraged him or made him feel like he was obligated, even indirectly, as we know they have been talking? That's the thing I'm concerned about. And one thing final, James, you're good about doing this. Every time immigration is brought up, it should be brought up. There are hundreds, if not millions, that we have no idea who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are, what their real name is, don't even have a fingerprint or a palm print or anything on them. We have no idea. This is why sweeping immigration procedures should be done, because how else are we supposed to find these people? There's no record. But outstanding job, my friend, as usual.
Well, I love all the compliments there, Joe and Grapevine. I'll be your new best friend if you're going to be that nice. But I want people to go through some uncomfortable Google searches on your own free time. I don't know if you've done this before, Joe and Grapevine, but go ask Google to show you the average IQ by country. And you'll see that there are giant swaths of planet Earth where we have to be really careful about importing people. Did you know that there's dozens of countries where the average IQ is below retardation level? And I don't want to get in trouble saying that word. I'm meaning it in its clinical sense. I'm not using it as a pejorative here. Mental retardation is said, depends on how you look at it, 70, 72. And there are a lot of countries who are below that. Afghanistan's one of them. Also, here's the second Google search. I want you, Joe and Grapevine, but also everyone listening. When you get a chance, here's another interesting Google search for you. Look up the rates of consanguineous marriage. Do you know what consanguineous means here, Joe?
No, I'm not sure. What?
This is cousin marriage. And if you want to expand it out a little bit, it also includes the nephew-niece marriage setup that's real common in the Muslim world because Muhammad married one of his nieces. And you'll see it in Afghanistan. About half of the marriages are cousin marriages. They're not the number one. I think number one is still Pakistan. But there's crazy numbers. This isn't me being racist, and I'm not even pointing out a race. I'm pointing out a country. And whenever you have that much inbreeding within a society, you're going to have mental problems. You're going to have behavioral problems. You're going to have intelligence problems. There's going to be learning disabilities. There's going to be problems with rage and violence because they are evolving backwards when you do that. Same thing that happened to the Habsburgs, white Europeans. So you people don't think I'm just saying this is a problem with other skin tones here. No, whoever tries it, it's a bad idea. How about we be super careful about importing people from low IQ countries whose parents are cousins? Is that crazy? It might make you feel uncomfortable, but I'm right. Now, I'd like to address something else here. Jasmine Crockett was pointing out in her thirst to blame white people for this. Check this out at the very beginning of the clip.
And the idea that one person can get out of line and commit such a horrific crime as shooting two National Guardsmen that never, ever asked to be here. In fact, we know the young lady that lost her life, specifically, we're saying that this is a waste of time, but now you want to go against every...
All right, let's check the record on that. Beckstrom's boyfriend talked to the media, and he actually fleshed out that thought a little more. She didn't wonder why they were there because she didn't want to be there. She wondered why they weren't able to do more, Jasmine.
She just was also like, why am I here if I can't do nothing? Where they limited them so much, she's like, it's pointless. She's like, I get why we're here, crime's bad, but it's pointless if we can't do anything.
Yeah, she wasn't saying they weren't needed there. She was saying they had their hands tied. They should be able to do more. Not they should get the hell out of there. So she not only misrepresented it, she took the 180-degree lie on her thoughts on being deployed in D.C. Now, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security Secretary, went on MSNBC, and I get why she goes on here, but just check out this first question she gets. It's just so misleading right off the bat from Kristen Welker.
President Trump on Thursday promised to, quote, permanently pause migration from all third world countries. Is the administration ending all legal immigration into the United States?
Did you hear that? She changed the question from the preamble to the question. Is he pausing all legal immigration? Well, of course not. He just said he's pausing some immigration from these hellhole countries, as he calls them. So no, that's not all legal. That's not even on the table. No one even suggested that. Why are you asking Kristi Noem that? Why are you asking dishonest questions in bad faith? Because though it costs a National Guard serviceman their life, the more important aspect to her isn't the safety of American soldiers, isn't the safety of the American public, isn't the safety of you and your family. It's the damn narrative. How can we frame this in a way to make Donald Trump look bad? And here's another one. Hey, can you tell me specifically this pause, when it's going to restart?
Okay. When will the asylum process start again?
Well, it'll start when we know that we have dealt with the backlog that we have, Kristen. One of the things that nobody's talked about yet is that Joe Biden left us with a backlog of 1.5 million asylum cases.
We have 1.5 million people that we haven't finished their cases here. Are they all in America? We have 1.5 million unvetted people here from the worst countries planet Earth has to offer. Okay, we have a real problem here. And I think there's an easy solution here. The asylum process is for people like Salman Rushdie, who wrote the satanic verses. And so there's a fatwa that was put on him by his home country. The Ayatollahs want him dead. And so he's been dodging hit squads all over the planet until he got asylum here. That's what our asylum system is for. Not for every inbred goat herder that managed to hang on to the wheel well of a plane taken off in September of 2021. We're not supposed to be importing people chanting death to America. We're not supposed to be importing people that are shooting our soldiers or trying to blow up our buildings. When does the asylum restart? I don't know if it restarts ever. But he even said, till we get this backlog worked out, then we'll think about restarting it. Did you know that there was 1.5 million people in the backlog? And then here's another just terrible question. Kristi Noem, I don't know why you put up with these people.
Will you deport people with pending asylum claims, Madam Secretary?
We will if they should be. Absolutely.
What kind of dumb question? Of course we will. Oh, you have a pending asylum claim. I don't care if you're the biggest terrorist in the world. We can't turn them away. What a terrible question. You know, you have a few minutes with one of the most powerful people in Trump's cabinet, and you're going to ask terrible questions like that. You know, we fire football coaches for being less incompetent than that. I mean, you have right now, this is the part of football season where guys are just losing jobs left and right. You know, people are getting fired and getting let go. It's like, I'm sorry, we can't be going, 6-6 for our college football team. That's just unacceptable. But they'll put up with any amount of incompetence from your journalists as long as they're fighting for the narrative. The truth be damned. Your safety be damned. This country be damned. They're just so in the bag for Team Blue. All right, we're doing the Cumulus Kids Toy Drive. Help us. Help little kids make sure they have a Christmas present under the tree when no one else will show up for them. We will. So donate. Either take a unwrapped Christmas gift to any Sam Pack auto location. You can go to WBAP.com for a link to make a monetary donation. Or you can text the word KIDS, KIDS, to 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227.
The James Show Podcast.